kind of the way that we've been able to do this is this algorithm that we call active learning. Maybe some educational people in the audience might be familiar with active learning as a pedagogical concept, where the student, rather than just like passively absorbing the lecture, they're like actively engaging with the material. We take a similar approach to training our machine. And so the machine, it looks at a bunch of human and AI text and makes a bunch of decisions on it. And then we actually send that agent into the world, into the internet, and have it go look for examples that are human written, that it doesn't really understand very well. So
hello and welcome to the Test Community Network. My name is Burnett. I hope you're all safe and well. This week, got an excellent interview lined up with Bradley Emi from Pangram. We're going to be talking about AI detection tools. So anyone, I must admit, I'm a bit skeptical about their kind of quality, their ability to actually detect human or AI content. But Bradley does a really good job in explaining how their new system works. And Bradley's from MIT, did some work at Tesla, and now he's a co-founder of this AI detection lab that's kind of found its way into the kind of assessment community. As ever, anything that you see on today, you can go to the testcommunity.network and you can subscribe, and you get a wonderful email that comes through once a week, jam-packed full of things I guarantee you will have missed that you will want to see. Quick shout out to everyone that attended the AO forum last week. Fantastic event. I really enjoyed it. My slides went a bit nuts, so I re-recorded the presentation for people, and I'm going to include the link to my presentation in the show notes for this. So make sure you check that out if you want to see what I said about the future of AI and assessment. Okay, some other events that are coming up before we get onto the interview with Bradley. So we've got on the 14th of May, Cambridge Assessment Network, Authentic Assessment in the Age of AI. I believe that's a course. We've got the introduction to the Irish Register qualifications for employers. So if you're interested in qualifications in Ireland, then it's worth checking that out. 15th of May, accessing summative assessment results in SIRS. That's coming up on the 15th of May. 20th of May, Pearson webinars. The future of assessments is here. Get to know digital assessment library for schools. There's a series of 3 actual events. That's the first one. There's 2 or 3 after American-based. Prometric webinar, equity for multilingual learners webinar. So that's with Prometric. We've got the 20th of May. This is an in-person event, not an online event, but the Fab Futures event is taking place. It's worth checking that out if you're interested in UK vocational assessment. 22nd of May, we have how AI use is expanding in K-12 schools. That's a virtual conference, virtual webinar. Criterion webinars, Age of AI, what tech companies should do next. Check that out. 22nd of May again. Now what? Making the most of your spring testing data. I believe that's a K-12 event over in America, if you want to check that out. JMU, Center for Assessment and Research Studies, CARS Assessment 101, Summer 2025. That's a virtual event. We have then looking just some other kind of events coming up. We've got on the 9th to 11th, of course, we've got the E-Assessment Association's Conference of Awards. I believe I have our kind of AI category awards meeting this week, so we'll be kind of finalizing our pick for the winner for that category. Well done to everyone that was finalist. Well done to everyone that entered. There was lots of submissions, particularly for that category. The judges, we had a kind of tough job on that one, but loads of amazing awards to be given out at the conference, plus amazing presentations. You've got the International Roundtable in the morning on the 9th, plus you've got the AI Symposium on the afternoon of the 9th, and then there's the 2-day conference. You'll find me in the interactive space. I'll be looking after that, and I'm going to do a presentation or a session in the interactive space about building questions for the future. Then we've got on the 17th and 19th as the EATP 2025 conference in Dublin. So it's worth checking that out if you fancy joining us in Dublin for an amazing event. As ever, it's always a great conference to go to. Now, let's, or just remind you also, I'll get rid of that, you can still watch my webinar, available for request, invite only, but if you're interested in the future of you building AI cheating tools, then you can check that out. Really good session. Really good, thoughtful input from organizations, from AOs on that one. So it's worth having a look at that. So as ever, I'm going to go into my interview now with Bradley. So here's me in conversation with Bradley as we talk about AI detection, the technology behind spotting AI generated content. Here's me in conversation. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Are you well?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. So so not many people maybe know about you in my kind of space and world. So do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about your background, and then we'll get talking about AI detection.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tim. I really appreciate you having me on the show. So my name is Bradley Emi. I'm the CTO of Pangram Labs. We are a very new AI detection company. We are focused on AI detection research primarily. And my background and my co-founder's background is we are both Stanford AI researchers that have been working in AI for about 8 years. Both of us have did our graduate school at Stanford. We met in we met in our freshman dorm there. And then we continued on to work in large tech. So my co-founder Max worked at Google, and I worked at as an AI scientist at Tesla. And so we're very familiar with how these large AI systems work. And we've decided to take that expertise and bring it to this problem of AI detection, where we believe, it's very important that in order for the world to make the most of ChatGPT, that people are transparent and know when ChatGPT has been used to write something as opposed to a human. And so that's kind of how our company came to be. We've been working on this for the R&D side for about 2 years, but we've just started going to market in the last 6 months, primarily in education, where there's this massive problem of AI and academic integrity. And we're trying to tackle that problem in a really transparent way. We're trying to do the research, share that research with the world, and ultimately provide a solution that actually works for teachers and students.
Excellent. And it is a big problem, isn't it? I don't think the academic community has really come up with any kind of solution to it yet. Obviously, I think people have been trying out these tools, and they've been, there's platforms out there that they've already had installed as part of their institutions, and they've developed AI detection technology, or so they believe, and people have been kind of leaning into that, but they've been a little bit unsure. I'm a little bit of a skeptic as to how good these things are, but and we'll kind of touch on that. So tell us a bit more about your platform first and what it does, and then we'll kind of talk about AI detection as a wider topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So our platform, we just do one thing. We just detect whether or not there is AI inside of the writing or not. And this kind of is a little bit differentiated from a lot of other academic integrity tools, which also do like plagiarism detection or similarity detection. We don't see it as our place to determine whether or not like a student has actually committed an academic integrity or academic misconduct violation. We're just here to tell you, like, is there AI in this text or not? And the way that we've done that is we have trained a very large deep learning model ourselves, trained on hundreds of millions of examples of both human and AI generated text. And that model over time has learned to distinguish the really subtle patterns in the writing between human and AI text. And through kind of our algorithm, we've managed to achieve about a false positive rate of 1 in 10,000 at a false negative rate of 1 in 1,000. So what that means is basically actually human writing will be mischaracterized as AI about 0.01% of the time. Conversely, the stuff that we miss, so AI writing that doesn't get detected, that happens about 0.1% of the time.
Okay. And how easy is it to detect then? How does it detect? What is it looking for then when it goes through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. We have like all of these resources on our website that kind of like share like kind of the AI tells, like basically like the things that AI says often that humans don't. Basically, like AI often makes these kind of idiosyncratic stylistic choices that humans don't make, and a lot of these have been like picked up in popular media. So, for example, like notice that AI uses em dashes a lot. It uses words like tapestry and delve a lot, and these kind of fall out of like largely kind of artifacts of OpenAI's training process and other large language model companies. But also it's part of the underlying data. So like, for example, like the word delve, for example, there's an article in The Guardian that covers like basically like OpenAI hires a bunch of Nigerian writers to write training data for them. And delve is a really common word in Nigerian English, but not in American English or British English. And so these kinds of idiosyncrasies that kind of just accumulate give us all of this weak evidence that we can capture. And once enough of that weak evidence accumulates, we can say for sure, like, okay, this is AI. And so in general, like when the student just pastes the assignment into ChatGPT, takes that assignment, plugs it into their submission portal, generally we're very reliable in catching that. And of course, there's a bunch of nuances, like there's like paraphrasing tools and humanizer tools, and the student can also just edit the AI output as well. And that's where it kind of gets a little bit murkier. But in terms of just like the base case of student directly plagiarizes AI output into an assignment, we're generally pretty reliable.
And how different is it from some of the other solutions that are out there then? Are you doing anything particularly different, or are you taking a very similar path, or you've got more data? What's the difference?
I would say it's pretty different. Like I would say typically AI detection tools report an error rate of about 1% to 2%, which means that they're going to make a mistake once every 50 to 100 times compared to us making a mistake once every 10,000 times. And we believe actually and we've kind of detailed this in our published research, which is available online for anyone to look at. But kind of the way that we've been able to do this is this algorithm that we call active learning. Maybe some educational people in the audience might be familiar with active learning as a pedagogical concept, where the student, rather than just like passively absorbing the lecture, they're like actively engaging with the material. We take a similar approach to training our machine. And so the machine, it looks at a bunch of human and AI text and makes a bunch of decisions on it. And then we actually send that agent into the world, into the internet, and have it go look for examples that are human written, that it doesn't really understand very well. So we look for false positives in the wild. And then we go, after we do this data mining procedure, we reincorporate that data back into our training set and retrain the model with those confusing examples. And so the model is basically itself going and surfacing hard examples, and then we bring those hard examples back into the knowledge of the model. And we repeat this process at scale. And we believe this is how we've been able to get the error rate from about 1% down to about 0.01%.
Is it going to be harder then to have that active learning process as we move forward with content, and there's going to be more and more AI generated content out there than because it's me in my marketing role, I am going to use AI to do that because it's a time saver for me, isn't it? So there's going to be less and less purely human generated content out there, and any that is out there is going to be there's these firewalls and walled gardens going up because they don't want the training companies just ripping off their content. Is that going to be harder for you to kind of to mine that information?
Okay, so actually, like kind of going into the details a bit. So we only look at the internet pre-2022.
Right. Okay.
We don't look at the stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. That answers that question. That's good. Yeah, you've got a copy of the internet.
Unless the AI can time travel, yeah, I think we're pretty okay on that. And there's quite a bit of content on, like, there's massive amounts of data on the internet pre-2022, and so we haven't really run out of data yet.
No, that's good. And then so in terms of the tools learning what you're looking for, or the kind of cheat tools out there that could be, how is that just an arms race for you to keep up with that?
Oh, so you mean like with the AI systems getting better?
Yeah. Well, so in theory, AI systems are going to become more human, and be able to, if we start having our own assistants and kind of learning and working with them, then it may start to drop some of these indicators that you may be finding from the kind of training process. Is it going to be easy to keep up with that process? Is it just an arms race that we're involved in, really, in terms of detection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit hard to predict the future. Like, like 5 years ago, it would have been impossible to say, like, oh, like, what are the language models of the future going to look like? I couldn't have imagined that it was ChatGPT or anything like that. But kind of like what we're finding kind of experimentally so far, as kind of the models are advancing, is we're not actually seeing really any correlation between detectability and capability, if that makes sense. So even as the models are getting more capable, we're not finding that they're getting less detectable. And kind of actually the reason for, in some cases, actually, we're seeing that they're getting more detectable. And we believe that the reason for this is actually, like, as the models get more advanced, they're actually kind of developing their own kind of like specific personalities. Like, and people notice this too. Like, people are like, oh, like Claude like is a little bit condescending sometimes, and like GPT like sometimes overuses emojis and like kind of like stuff like this, where the models kind of each have their own style, and you can kind of tell even the different LLMs from each other, based on just kind of the weird like quirks and the weird like personality traits that these models exhibit. And likewise, like I think like this is true with humans too. Like the example I like to give is like, if you deleted all of your contacts off of your phone, like you could still like probably recognize all of your text conversations with your friends just because you know the way that they talk.
Yeah.
And like all of these LLMs kind of like each kind of like, even as they're becoming like more human-like, they're becoming more like specific human-like and less like general human-like, if that makes sense. And so we kind of believe that that's like, that's why we're not really seeing any degradation in our performance as the models get more capable.
No, I completely agree there, because I must admit I use Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, and I at the moment I'm kind of, I suppose 80% of my work time is in Claude, because I like that approach. I find ChatGPT a little bit too creative and flary sometimes with some of the work that I'm working on. But yeah, you can, don't you? You notice the personality in these solutions. And obviously,
that kind of is what we're picking up. We're kind of picking up more the personality, like, because like in human writing, like, what English teachers say to their students is like, I want to hear your original voice, right? Like, I don't want to hear the voice of like a robot. And like, just like humans all have their individual voices, AIs have their own voice too.
Yeah. So what's your kind of growth so far? Because you're kind of startup. Are you a startup? You class yourself as a startup?
Yeah, we are a startup.
Yep. Yeah. And what's your kind of growth so far? How many organizations, and where are you kind of seeing more traction at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. So we're in about over 100 universities. We have just individual professors that just sign up for subscriptions on our website, and can use us to check in like individual assignments. We also have a few enterprise customers as well. So we work with Quora, the social media site, to detect AI generated answers to the questions that get posted on Quora. We work with some review sites to filter out fake reviews, and so kind of the scope of AI detection actually goes well beyond education. But just we're kind of focusing here on education in the here and now, just because it's become such a pervasive problem.
And do you see that you're going to have an international appeal with this? Is that your hope and dream?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like another advantage of the active learning method is that by searching like the wide variety of text on the internet, we naturally pick up text from all the languages that are common on the internet. And so unlike other AI detectors too, which are generally only support English, ours supports over 20 languages, and we hope to kind of expand internationally. But yeah, I mean, I think we're still small and still growing, and so we're largely kind of just kind of starting more local and hoping to grow internationally soon.
I think that you touched on one point there, which has always been a little bit of a criticism of these tools, is that they may do very well with English, but if you've got someone who's taken an examination where English isn't their first language, then it does potentially flag more often that they've been it's AI generated content, which it isn't. It's just they're not. It's not AI generated. How do you feel as though you've got more confidence around being able to have a slightly more equitable kind of approach to detection? Then is that your one of your USPs?
Oh yeah, definitely. And so like, I mean, are you referring to the like Liang et al. Paper that everyone cites in 2023, like GPT?
I've read various ones over time, but yeah, I think that might be the one that I've kind of heard. Yeah.
So actually, we believe that the reason that this happens is because other AI detectors rely on these metrics called perplexity and burstiness. And like, this is very crude, but just like at a very coarse level, like this is basically like the complexity of the text. It's like, how complex is my writing? And in general, like human writing tends to be more complex. AI writing tends to be more simple. And so perplexity and burstiness detectors flag, AI text based on that. But the problem is that English language learners text, like ESL text, is also very simple in general. And so it exhibits low perplexity and low burstiness. And so it's kind of a fundamental baked into the design of these perplexity and burstiness detectors, that they're going to flag English language learners text more often. But the thing is, like, our detector is not based on perplexity and burstiness. We don't compute these statistics at all. we are kind of just looking for patterns across wide swaths of human language, including English language learners text. And so there's not really any way that our algorithm can really be biased in the same way, because we're not like computing statistics that correlate with AI and English language learners together, as most of the like first generation AI detectors did.
Okay, and so right, it's interesting. It's interesting to have that kind of description there. And in terms of things like APIs, you mentioned enterprise customers. If there's an organization out there, so on the Test Community Network, they've got 400 or so organizations that have assessment technology and services. If they want to tap into your service, they can do that through APIs, can they?
Yep, exactly. So we have a REST API and a Python SDK for developers to tap into. And then we also have integrations with the major learning management systems. So we have like a Canvas integration, Google Classroom integration, and any other LMS that supports LTI, we plug into as a third-party extension. So lots of ways to integrate with Pangram.
And if they, so let's say there's an essay marking system, they fire off the essay script that's come in from the student, and do you just reply back with a score, with a kind of what kind of information will come back from your solution into the assessment platform?
Yep. So it depends on the length of the submission. And so if the submission is short, so if the submission is under, say about 400 words, then we will just give back, okay, like either yes, this is AI, or no. We give a percentage as well. Which is our confidence. And then basically, we also highlight kind of some of the evidence. So we highlight the phrases that we believe are most indicative that something is AI, if it is. For longer documents, there's a potential that it is a mix of AI and human writing. So if the student, wrote most of the thing themselves, but then they added one AI paragraph, then we will report kind of a section by section analysis. And so what we do is we take about a size, like a paragraph size amount of text, and we look at each paragraph individually. And if we give a score per paragraph as well as an overall analysis of the whole document.
Excellent. And I assume you offer kind of campus-wide or site-wide licenses for your solution as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, excellent. Because there's quite a few. I know people. I know organisations have got. They've got established platforms that are on board that have added these detection tools in, and they are looking for either confidence in those solutions or alternative solutions. So I think it's definitely something to try. And you can try it, can't you, on your website? You can go in and you can pay some text in. It will give you some feedback.
Yep, we do have a free tier. On the free tier, you can you can scan 5 papers a day. So pretty easy.
Excellent. So people could kind of warm up their idea to using it. Excellent. That's brilliant. Well, thank you for that.
Too is that with anybody looking to do research on our tool, we provide unlimited access for free. So any academics that want to study us, benchmark us, test us, we're very open about very open and generous with our testing program, because we're confident that we actually have the the meat that backs up kind of the flash on our website. And so we really would like people to study us, test us, and report what they find.
Excellent. That's a really good idea. Okay, right. We'll make sure that people get to know that, and I'll make sure that's in the show notes for people to see. Well, thank you very much. That's a really insightful interview. I think you've kind of relayed some of my skepticisms around this, so I think you've given me a bit more confidence in the area. Obviously, I'd like to start kind of throwing in a few of my student essays from my course just to see what the scores come out with, and of course my own work, and I might even go back to pre-2022 just to see how that comes out. Although I never really want to share any of that stuff from the past, because it was terrible. I think AI's helped me a lot because my language writing skills are terrible. Well, thank you very much. All the best with the platform and your growth. And it'd be great for you to come back in the future and just to kind of tell us how you're going and kind of what research information's come out from your work. So thank you very much, Bradley. I appreciate that, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim. Really enjoyed it.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye. Excellent. Thank you for that. That was a really good conversation. I learned so much more about how these things work, really, and I suppose it also adds to the layers of understanding around the models themselves. Interestingly, there was one of the models, ChatGPT's models, was rolled back very recently, and they went into some great depths as to kind of the explanations as to why they did that and the kind of challenges that they faced. And if you listen to the Marketing Institute artificial was it the I'll put it in the post and the thing, but the Institute of Marketing podcast, the AI marketing podcast, they kind of unpack and explain just how these things work in terms of the explanations. I also want to apologize there for Bradley. I said MIT, but obviously Stanford. So apologies for that one. It's probably some kind of internal issue there. But thank you very much for an excellent interview. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care and bye-bye.